All right, good afternoon, everybody. This is the Fantasy Sports Boss with the first live stream of the season. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so already. Good to be here. Good to be back. I know it's been a while. Let me just move this a little bit here. Better lighting. I know it's been a while. It was a long off season. We didn't do the last time we did a live stream was I think it was back in January. So it's certainly been a long time for that. But like I said, it's good to be back. And we got some preseason games to talk about today. Kansas City Chiefs, Detroit Lions are playing right now, as are the Cleveland Browns and the Minnesota Vikings. The New York Giants took on the Houston Texans today, and it was a mess for Daniel Jones early on. He threw a couple of interceptions, but then wound up coming back later on and finishing strong. And then he had a good day connecting with Malik Neighbors, who looks like he's really on his way to becoming a really big factor in fantasy football this season. So we're going to check in on the latest scores there today. Hopefully there's no injuries that we know of. The Lions just kicked the field goal, so they're down 13-3 to the Kansas City Chiefs today. So we're going to get to all of that today. Of course, any questions that you guys have, you can post in the chat. Make sure you're a subscriber if you haven't done so already. But yeah, like I said, there's going to be a lot of good stuff coming up this season. We always have the instant injury analysis videos that go on during the course of NFL Sunday, plus the usual features and everything that goes into the week. I'm just gonna fix this. I feel like the lighting is just kind of messed up. Let me just move this. All right, we're still working out the kinks a little bit here with the first stream of the season, but lately there's been a lot of videos coming out because I'm really ramping up the coverage of drafts and whatnot, as hopefully, like I've always said before, you want to have your draft as close to the end of the summer as you can, as close to the start of the season as you can, and that's always a good idea there, especially with injuries impacting things early on. Now, as far as today is concerned, the Chicago Bears played earlier, and already it's kind of making the rounds on the internet how unbelievable Caleb Williams, the unbelievable pass, I should say, that he threw to Rome Odunze. It was a 27-3 final. Williams just looked unbelievable at times in this one. And here's the one thing, though, about the Chicago Bears, is that this offensive line, sort of like the New Orleans Saints as well, I have my concerns about it. Like, Williams was running all over the place today. I'm trying to pull up his numbers here. He was 6 for 13 for 75 yards, took a sack, but and Tyson Bagent threw 2 touchdown passes, 7 of 8 for him today. It wasn't. He was running for his life a lot. That's not what you ever want to see for any passing offense that has potential like the Chicago Bears do. Certainly with Rome Odunze and Keenan Allen. They have Cole Kmet there, and obviously DJ Moore coming off his big season. So that's something that we should keep an eye on there. I already talked about the New Orleans Saints, how their offensive line looks like one of the worst units in the game, and how Derek Carr and Chris Olave that looks like a scary situation there if you're a Chris Olave owner. But the throw that Williams made today was just ridiculous to Odunze down the field. And Odunze played starter snaps today, right? I mean, he was out there pretty much every first team. He got every first team rep, while Keenan Allen kind of took a back seat. Whereas last week in the first preseason game, it was Odunze who sat more as opposed to this week. But for myself, I've already drafted Caleb Williams as a backup in one of my leagues. I posted that video this morning. I think Caleb Williams is the real deal. He's quirky. I don't know if anybody saw Hard Knocks. He's got a little bit of an attitude to him. He's walking around with a purse. I mean, he's got his nails painted at times. So, he beats to his own drum talking about Caleb Williams, but nobody can even for a second take anything away from him from a talent perspective or a talent standpoint. And this offense is going to be incredible. I've already invested in Keenan Allen in one league. It could be like the Houston Texans situation with, the Texans, obviously, and they played today as well. 3 prime receivers. They're probably going to share big weeks. There's probably going to be a tough there's going to be no consistency. That's what I was looking at. There's going to be no consistency between the the primary receivers in these offenses, just because they're all so skilled at what they do. All right, so let's just check out some of these games. Houston 28, the Giants 10. CJ Stroud did start this game, just pulling up the numbers here. And it was certainly a good outing for him. 7 of 10, 88 yards before he gave way to Case Keenum and Tim Boyle. So he's still in the league. Amazing. That guy was just garbage for the Jets last year. As far as the receiving for Houston, the players that we care about, Dalton Schultz led the way, 3 for 39. Nico Collins, 1 for 24. Stephon Diggs, 1 for 9. Tank Dell did not catch a pass. So it's going to be Tank Dell, who's probably going to trail the other two when it comes to, consistency, catches, all that stuff. So that's probably something that if you're a Tank Dell owner, you need to take into account. But as far as CJ Stroud is concerned, I mean, can he throw for 5,000 yards this season? I think it's possible. And like I said, he's in that QB5, QB6 range. And there goes my light. There we go. So we're off to a good start, guys. Sorry about that. Working out the first day kinks. Sorry about that. Let me fix that. So there we go. Much better. All right. So we're back. So, hey, live stream. These are the things that happen sometimes. So I knocked over the light. Anyway, what was I talking about? CJ Stroud. 5,000 yards, certainly possible. The offense is going to be insane. The Joe Mixon move. I mean, he's a compiler at this point in his career. Joe Mixon, he's had a really underrated career. He catches the football, decent runner. They're not sure how much they're going to lean on the run with all of these offensive weapons that they have there. But CJ Stroud, whose price really went up exponentially this summer, is somebody that I would be a little leery as far as paying the sticker price on. But there's no doubt about it that he's got the goods and he's going to put up some monster numbers this season. Now, Daniel Jones, 11 of 18 for the Giants, 2 interceptions, including a pick 6. Like, it was ugly for Daniel Jones. I mean, listen, he ran runs for 12 yards. Daniel Jones showed some glimpses couple of years ago that he could be the guy, that he would be the solution to this team. But it just hasn't happened consistently for him. He's been injured a lot. The offensive line is terrible. Like, you can't blame him for that because the offensive line has been so bad. Devin Singletary, 10 for 20 on the ground, one touchdown. He just fell into the end zone there. So this offense has a lot of kinks to work out. But on the bright side, Malik Neighbors, 4 for 54. He had a brilliant catch where he got his toes down in bounds, stayed in bounds, and he looked really good. So, and listen, we all know based on pure talent, Malik Neighbors is going to be a wide receiver, has the potential to be a wide receiver 1 in fantasy football this season. Whether he gets to that point or not will be entirely dependent on this offensive line for the Giants, how well Daniel Jones is going to play. All of these things are going to factor in as to whether Malik Neighbors is going to return a profit on investment. Minnesota Vikings are playing right now. They are 10-7 up on the Cleveland Browns. Sam Darnold is not playing. Neither is Deshaun Watson, so they'll probably come in next game. There's really nobody of substance worth discussing there. Kansas City, like I said before, they're up 13-3 over the Detroit Lions. No Jared Goff. It's Nate Sudfeld and there. Pat Mahomes went 8 for 14 before he exited stage left. Xavier Worthy had a carry for 11 yards, and he caught 3 balls for 62 yards and a touchdown. So Xavier Worthy is already doing impressive things. And Rashee Rice, 4 for 35. So Rashee Rice contributing, and Travis Kelce, 1 catch for 8 yards. But the big story, obviously, with Rashee Rice is whether or not he is going to he's going to play a full allotment of games this season because he's got that potential suspension hanging over his head. So, that's what we're going to have to look at there when it comes to Rashee Rice. But listen, Xavier Worthy, it looks good. It looks good so far. This was a good outing for him. I'm intrigued by him. Obviously, the speed plays well. How consistent is he going to be? Is he going to be a, run hot and cold? He's got that profile where he could, and he's a smaller receiver. He's got that smallish frame. He's got that profile where he could be pushed off routes easily, May not be a big raw catch total guy, but big time yardage, touchdowns, all of those things. I certainly think Xavier Worthy is worthy. I had to do it of your attention in drafts this summer. Now, the other big thing, obviously, is injuries. We don't want there to be any injuries today. We're getting, we've had some injuries already at the running back position with Christian McCaffrey and his calf strain. We have Jahmyr Gibbs with his hamstring strain. It looks like Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be okay for the opener. Same thing for CMC. So that's good, right? I mean, CMC, though, I still have my reservations given his insane workload last season. Is he going to be able to hold up over the long term of the season, given how many touches he's had the last couple of years? He's an older back, 28 years old. I've said multiple times I would take CeeDee Lamb over Christian McCaffrey. I might even think about taking Breece Hall over Christian McCaffrey. Although what I will say about Breece Hall is I'm going to watch closely today for the Jets. This Braylon Allen guy from Wisconsin really played well last week for them. If he has another big game this week, I think it's going to be tough for the Jet coaching staff to hold him out. There was initial chatter or rumors that Allen could possibly be the goal line back for the Jets and maybe spell Breece Hall more than we're comfortable in terms of spending an early first round pick on a Hall. And if that's the case, then you got to put Bijan Robinson ahead of Hall, because I don't think Tyler Algier is going to be as much of a factor this season as he was last year. That's just my take on that. And again, I'm going to have more draft analysis as we go on throughout the next couple of weeks leading into the season. And of course, we're going to have the Thursday night opener. We have a Friday night game this year. The schedule is just weird. You have these Netflix Christmas games, which I think are a complete joke that the NFL would actually have two games on Christmas on a paid streaming service. I know pretty much everybody has Netflix, but I think it's just ridiculous that they did that. But yeah, it's a weird schedule this year. You have the Friday game. I believe it's the Jets and the Dolphins. So that's weird. That's different. But again, as far as drafts are concerned, you do want to have that draft as close to the end of the summer, as close to the start of the season as you can, because especially next week when we have those very scary third preseason games to talk about, there's always an injury, a prime injury that happens during that time of the summer, and you don't want to be drafting a guy and then all of a sudden lose him once the season, before the season gets underway. I remember a number of years ago, Julian Edelman tore his ACL, Jordy Nelson tore his ACL in the summer. Big time guys went down before a game even before they took a snap that even meant anything. So try to have that draft as close to the start of the season as you possibly can. It makes total sense. Now, I wanted to take a look at some of these draft ADPs. Let me pull that up because, to do mock drafts is always a smart thing. You want to try to figure out where certain players are going. And I've always been a proponent of studying where certain guys are going. Now, in a PPR league, and most people should be playing PPR at this point, but in a PPR league right now, it's still Josh Allen number 1, Pat Mahomes number 2, Jalen Hurts number 3, and Lamar Jackson number 4. That pretty much has stayed consistent throughout. And CJ Stroud is QB5, Anthony Richardson QB6. Now, Kyler Murray has moved up to QB8. He was QB11 for a while, so Kyler Murray is making a little bit of inroads up, just behind Joe Burrow and Anthony Richardson, who are at 6 and 7. Richardson at 6, Burrow at 7. Jordan Love is 9. Dak Prescott is 10. Brock Purdy 11. And Jared Goff is QB 12. So Jaden Daniels is still outside that top 12. He is QB 13. You all know how much how much I really think Jaden Daniels is going to be a big-time player this year. Caleb Williams is QB 15. I have him as a backup. That's something to pay attention to as well. As far as the running backs, you still have Breece Hall, running back 2, Bijan, running back 3. Saquon Barkley is running back 4 right now in PPR leagues. He has passed both Jahmyr Gibbs and Jonathan Taylor. Not a fan of Jonathan Taylor. I wouldn't draft him anywhere. I've spoken many times over this. I don't see it with Anthony Richardson being there as far as any sort of consistency. Richardson's going to be stealing touchdowns. How often is he going to throw to Jonathan Taylor? We don't know how often that's going to happen. Kyren Williams is the running back 7. I still think that's too expensive. Blake Corum, I think, is going to be a factor. Derrick Henry, running back 8. Okay. Travis Etienne is 9. Devin Achane is running back 10. We are completely overvaluating Achane for this season. He's running back 10. Like, I know he was beyond spectacular last season when he was on the field before he got hurt. Like, that 4-game stretch early in the season was just mind-blowing. But running back 10 for a guy who is being complimented by an 18 touchdown on the ground, Raheem Mostert, who also has the third back behind him, the rookie out of Tennessee, who's lighting it up this summer. No, thank you. Josh Jacobs, running back 11, I think is good value. Pacheco, running back 12. Rachaad White, 13. James Cook, 14. Joe Mixon, running back 15. And Kenneth Walker, running back 16. So I think from Josh Jacobs at 11 through Kenneth Walker at 16, even Kamara at 17, James Conner at 18, Aaron Jones at 19, that's the sweet spot for me. That's where I'm going to be taking my running backs this season. Josh Jacobs at 11 through Aaron Jones at running back 19. That's where I'm getting most of my running backs in my one league that I've already drafted. I've taken Josh Jacobs and Alvin Kamara. David Montgomery is 20, DeAndre Swift 21. I'm not liking either one of them. And then Zamir White at 22, who I do have an appreciation for. Hey, Mark, boss, would you recommend going run QB early, draft a stud, and then not have to worry about rostering? Well, I did that, Mark. I don't know if you watched my video this morning. I took Pat Mahomes in the second round from the number 2 spot at number 23 overall in the second round. I did take Pat Mahomes. I just thought the value was there. I feel like the second round guys this year are just not very attractive. Drake London is to me, but like Kyren Williams, Jahmyr Gibbs, like this, I feel like there's a lot more question marks in the second round than usual. So as far as taking a quarterback early, I certainly would do that as well. Because I think if you can get one of those big 3, and Lamar Jackson to me is not somebody I would be targeting because it's still, they don't run him around the goal line. I don't think Lamar Jackson, as great as he was in the fantasy football championship last year, I still think Lamar Jackson is not going to be worthy of that, QB4 spot. CeeDee Lamb is still the wide receiver 1. Tyreek Hill is 2. Justin Jefferson is the wide receiver 3, despite Sam Darnold being the guy. J.J. McCarthy, and that was terrible. You didn't want to have to see that. But Jefferson is the wide receiver 3 over Amon-Ra St. Brown, who I like better at 4, and even over Jamar Chase. Like, Jamar Chase is starting to slip a little bit. He's a wide receiver 5. He's had injuries the last couple of years. It's weird to me. I don't know why that's happening. I think Jamar Chase should be going ahead of Justin Jefferson. You could have that conversation about Amon-Ra St. Brown. But I find that a little bit puzzling. A.J. Brown, wide receiver 6. Garrett Wilson, wide receiver 7. I'm fine with that. Puka Nacua, wide receiver 8. I think Cooper Kupp could have a better season than Puka Nacua, who's already banged up. You're taking a guy at wide receiver 8 who may not even be the number 1 wide receiver on his team. Marvin Harrison Jr. at 9. Devontae Adams at 10. Debo has moved up to 11. Amid rumors that Brandon Ayuk is going to be traded. And then Drake London is 19. Drake London is wide receiver 12. Nico Collins, wide receiver 13. I like both of them a lot, and I have both of them on one league already. Chris Olave, wide receiver 14, and on it goes. So, Chris Olave, I've already spoken. As I had that video earlier this offseason, rather earlier this summer, about Chris Olave, speaking highly of him. But I'm changing my mind on that now because I think that this offensive line is so bad in New Orleans that I don't trust them. I think it's going to be an ugly season for the Saints. I think Dennis Allen's going to be fired by the end of October. I think Derek Carr could be benched for Spencer Rattler. I think Alvin Kamara could be on fumes, could be pushed out of the way completely. This is a dangerous situation for Chris Olave. So as much as I like Olave, the talent, I don't think I'm going to be targeting him in any drafts going forward. Like, if he fell in the 3rd round, maybe I would look at him. Because, again, on talent alone, he's a wide receiver 1. There's no question about it. But I think that Chris Olave represents too much of a risk because of the offense that he's in, because of the ugly offensive line in front of him. I think it's all going to go to hell for the New Orleans Saints this season. So that's something that we that we need to be aware of. We need to be a little leery of if you are going to invest in any New Orleans. And listen, I did draft Alvin Kamara because it's PPR league. I went receiver early, like I always do, and then of course I took Pat Mahomes in the second round. But he's going to catch a lot of passes. Like that's the bottom line. At the very least, Alvin Kamara is going to catch a lot of passes. So in a PPR league, that's still going to work for a little bit. So you can kind of get away with that for sure. Let me just look to see what some of the other news items are. Yeah, but JJ McCarthy, but I know I didn't spend a lot of time on that on the video, the reaction video to the injury, but that was just a big one. I feel like Sam Darnold's history when it comes to supporting wide receiver ones is virtually non-existent. All right. And I talked about that in that reaction video, that I believe 18 is the highest he's had a receiver finish in PPR leagues, and that was DJ Moore in Carolina. I think Justin Jefferson is certainly quarterback proof, but having to trust Sam Darnold is a scary situation. Like I wouldn't trust Sam Darnold at all. He's a failed first-round pick. He's now a journeyman quarterback on his fourth team. Certainly, you like the coaching staff. Kevin O'Connell knows how to operate an offense. He knows how to get the best out of his players on that side of the football. So I think, that's good. And we saw Justin Jefferson last year play really well the second half of the season when he came back from a serious hamstring injury with Nick Mullins at quarterback and Josh Dobbs and whatnot. So, again, he's sort of quarterback-proof. But if you're deciding between Jefferson and Jamar Chase, Jefferson and Amon-Ra St. Brown, I think you take that injury to J.J. McCarthy and you factor that in and use that as the tiebreaker. That's how I would look at it when it comes to Justin Jefferson. Like I said, I started talking about before, Rome Odunze played, really, really impressive catch. He had only one catch today, but it was a big one. And the athleticism is there. And if anybody saw Hard Knocks with the New York Giants, Odunze came across really well. He's very, very well spoken, studious. You could tell he's probably got a future, in television, the way he delivered and spoke to, very respectful when he spoke to the Giant coaching staff and whatnot. But the guy's got a world of talent. And so the Giants better make sure they have this right with Malik Nabers, because they did pass on Odunze, draft Nabers. And listen, Malik Nabers, I think, is going to be a spectacular talent. He's got that Odell Beckham, he's oozing that athleticism, explosiveness that Beckham had back in the day with the Giants when he was first drafted. So I think it's going to work out as long as he can stay on the field. He's a little bit of a hothead. He's a little diva-ish, had some issues at LSU with behavior when he wasn't getting the football, and that's why the Giants asked him about that at the Combine. I think both guys are going to be great. But the Chicago Bears offense is really intriguing to me. If this offensive line can block consistently for Caleb Williams, I think we're going to see big-time numbers out of all of these players that are a part of this offense. Just got to get more clarity at the running back position. I know DeAndre Swift, I don't believe, played today. I didn't see him show up in the box score. Khalil Herbert handled the majority of the carries and played well. Khalil Herbert's run the ball well when he's gotten the opportunity in the past. So how is that setup going to be? Is Herbert going to be the primary runner? Is Swift going to come in on third down? They paid him a lot of money. I can't see that being the arrangement. And you hand somebody the amount of money that they handed DeAndre Swift, you would think there'd be more of an opportunity for Swift to touch the ball as a runner instead of just being a glorified third down back. So I don't think that's what's going to happen there. But we're going to have to keep an eye on it. And that's what you look at these preseason games for. Like today, Xavier Worthy had a big day for the Kansas City Chiefs. This is going to help his stock because he was able to get off the line, made some big plays. They ran, they did an end around with him. Speed plays all over the field. And when you're with Andy Reid and an Andy Reid offense, they're gonna be able to exploit that speed and use it to their advantage. Talking about the Chiefs, so that's another big thing to talk about there. So we'll see what happens later on tonight with some of these other games. There's still a lot of questions. How much work early in the season will Breece Hall get? Bijan Robinson, are those backups going to eat more into their carries than we anticipate? What's this Vikings offense going to look like with Sam Darnold? So there's some big question marks for guys that are going in the first round or late first round, early second. Is Puka Nakua's knee going to be okay? CeeDee Lamb is still holding out. For somebody like myself who drafted CeeDee Lamb already, it's getting late. Come on, man, get back on the field. You don't have to be the highest paid freaking receiver in football. If you take $1 million less than Justin Jefferson, so be it. Like, I mean, come on, man. Get out on the field with your teammates. Get on the field. Let's go. Let's get it going and get this season going on the right foot if you're the CeeDee Lamb and the Dallas Cowboys. So anyway, guys, so I just wanted to do a short stream today, like kind of a reintroduction to what we're going to be doing throughout the course of the season. So stay tuned for more. Always have that notification bell hit, and also make sure you're a subscriber if you're new to the channel. And, of course, the Football Friday streams will always be a part of the fun. Sunday morning injury report as well. Stay tuned, guys. More good stuff coming. And, again, we will chat soon, okay? Have a great day, everybody.